I think if you have the business leaned in with their problems and you come in with a good solution and then you help deliver and accelerate that momentum, it just builds a two-way partnership.
Ranjani, thank you so much for joining us here. I understand you're with Mirvac at the moment, but I'd like to know a bit more about your role and what your day-to-day looks like.
Thank you, Gabby. First and foremost, thanks for the opportunity to come and have a chat. It's always good to connect and have a conversation. My current role at Mirvac is I'm Group General Manager there for Digital Portfolio and Enterprise Data Solutions. What that means is I set out the digital strategy. I'm responsible for the delivery of large initiatives, and then I lead the Enterprise Data Solutions, which includes a team of data engineers and insights analytics, and serve the whole of the business with data and insights. That's my role.
That's really interesting. So what does value look like from data at Mirvac?
That's a very interesting question. For me, I would connect it back to the business strategy. So I don't come from a traditional technology background. My background is a business leader, a transformation leader. So for me, it always starts with the business strategy first. What are the pain points we are trying to solve? Where are they trying to head strategically? In what direction? And then data comes as an enabler for making those happen. So I would just say that our entire data strategy is linked back to enabling the business with where they're heading on their strategic priorities.
It sounds like the data is used as a transformational tool then within the organization where you engage different levels of the business and different business leaders. How important do things like data literacy come into that?
We are, over the last couple of years, embarked on a digital maturity journey. So in our digital maturity journey, we basically have got 4 pillars. The first pillar is about ourselves. How do we set up ourselves? How do we organize ourselves in order to respond to the growing and rapid needs of the organization from a technology and data perspective. The second part of the pillar is digital awareness and digital maturity. So we are investing a lot in bringing people who have been with other organizations that have much greater levels of maturity, or people who have been there, done that, and know what great looks like. So we are hiring those people, and then we are also making a significant effort to ramp up digital literacy, critical upskilling and awareness across our whole like not only within technology, but within the broader organization, with bringing in tools like LinkedIn Learning and Copilot. So we are investing a lot in the general upskilling and awareness of AI and data.
It's interesting because democratization of tools is so important, right? And you're giving end users the empowerment to uptake and run with new things. It's interesting that you give them the LinkedIn Learning stuff as well. I think things like prompt engineering are incredibly important for things like Copilot too.
It's interesting you mentioned that. So we are doing an exploratory group of Copilots. And this is listening to my peers across the industry, both within property and construction and outside, people who've gone in, brought an enterprise license for Copilot are probably scaling it back because they are short of use cases. But we went with a very like a guided approach, saying we're going to bring together a small group of people who are going to be our champions and advocates. And our aim was to find 1,000 use cases for Copilot. So that group is just finishing off its phase 1. And again, data is so important. We are collecting all that data to see where would be the best usage of Copilot, and can we augment it with other tools? Is there an option to not scale it up for the entire enterprise, and how do we do it in a cost-effective way, which is also one of the key inputs into how you get return on investment for a digital proposition.
Exactly. And I want to pick up on something interesting you said. You said you look for people cross-industry. So what does this look like, having a variety of industry, ex-industry professionals working on a problem for, because Mirvac's quite specific in terms of the way you manage different real estate property funds that go towards development and that sort of thing. What's the benefit of bringing in people from different industries?
I think it's always good to get an outside perspective in. So Mirvac is a traditional property and construction business. It's a very good brand in the Australian and in the Asia Pacific Australian market. I think our people in the business are so passionate about what they do. So bringing in people into tech that understand what technology can do and support our business in enabling some of the strategies they are pursuing, I think that is so critical. So that's where, say, people who have looked at data before, people like we heard today morning through the interviews, like with Salesforce and Netflix, and companies who have already experimented, learned with data. We don't need to necessarily invest in the whole thing to get those rich insights and learnings. You can always hire people that can bring in what great looks like and see where the gaps are within your organization and help bridge that gap quickly.
But how do you strike the balance between, you mentioned these big organizations like Netflix, they have so much in terms of resources, in terms of setup, and there's this long-term vision of where data is going to go to, the underlying platforms, all that, the transformation, as well as the more immediate business need. You know, how do we get a proof of concept up? What's it like navigating that balance for you?
In a traditional business, I think where people are still coming up to speed with what digital maturity looks like, what does it mean? For them, technology might be seen as a support function or a service function. So we need to make sure that we keep the lights on from that perspective. So it's like what we call it a two-speed run, right? So you have to keep the lights on, make sure your foundational elements or support is being provided to the business. Once you've done that, you build the trust, right? And then you can listen to them where they are heading strategically, and then bring that use case back to the tech team and the data team to help support that. So again, the co-pilot exploration was an experiment, right? So we didn't scale it up. Similar, we are doing it with a small group of people with LinkedIn Learning, as how do we can best leverage LinkedIn Learning. That is just, again, another exploration. We're working very closely with our innovation team to understand how we can build an AI center of excellence and how we can then bring the best use cases. If you read the latest insights, you would see that 70 to 80% of AI falls short of good business use case. So my strategy is to start with the business use case first and then bring in the tech. Where we are kind of emphasizing is business, help us understand your problem and leave the solutioning to us. So that is where the collaboration or the partnership is kind of starting to work now.
Perfect. I love that. Start with the business, start with the problem, and then reverse engineer. How do we serve the business?
We've got the best brains in the world to kind of understand from a tech's perspective how to solve for a problem, but it always falls off a good business use case. So I think if you have the business leaned in with their problems and you come in with a good solution, and then you help deliver and accelerate that momentum, it just builds a two-way partnership.